Good morning out there, traders. It is March 1st, 2024. Welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's go over our recap from yesterday. So, we had a very clear picture as to what our plan was and scenarios were around yesterday's trading. And we had a line in the sand down here that was bullish in nature. And we were looking at scenario one to the upside being the main scenario for the session. We never really needed scenario two, which was a breakdown. The other part or the other nuance of what was going on yesterday was this neutral zone out here. This neutral zone was critical for us, especially early in the session, that if we weren't able to hold above it, a pullback was going to be likely into our line in the sand. And of course, if we did hold above it, then we were looking for continuation up into this first neutral area, and then a continuation up into here is the overall destination for the upside in the full plan of what we were looking at yesterday. So with that quick recap, you could definitely see how this market played out. We nailed the neutral idea. Basically, we had an early morning push from some news up into this area looking as though it was going to be bullish. Once the market started to open, we started to see some bearishness activate, and we started to hold below that neutral zone there. And that's where it was very clear from an acceptance picture, an acceptance perspective, that this neutral zone that we were talking about was going to be the pullback scenario, right? So the pullback scenario back into the line in the sand. And then we got the trade of the day. That was it. That was the line in the sand, scenario one, classic inflection at that zone. And really wasn't much for us to overthink here. Right into first target, right into neutral zone target, where we had to pay attention to whether or not we were going to break to the upside or hold back again to the downside. It goes sideways there for a little bit, breaks to the upside, and if you're somebody that trades overnight, gives you another chance to possibly catch a little bit more back up into the top here, but not for us. I mean, we shut things down at the end of the day. So really, the main trade of the day was down here from our line in the sand, heading to the upside. Target one, target two, and target three kind of all reached there. We just didn't get to our fourth target. And that was kind of the recap from yesterday. The important takeaways from yesterday is that we kind of nailed this neutral area in terms of it being important to the upside early in the session, and the fact that it failed, holding to the downside, getting us into a pullback for our main line in the sand scenario, and then seeing the actual trade setup and continue and getting targets as it move throughout the session. Now, taking a look at today, very similar picture to what we had going on yesterday. However, with today, I'm a lot more neutral because basically recency becomes an issue in a situation like this. Also, our risk reward landscape from the higher time frame perspectives are kind of out in open space. So where price is currently sitting out here, I'm a lot more neutral overall. We still have a generally bearish trade idea that's playing out, and possibly that's its overall destination. So once again, we're looking at a spot where we have a neutral area that's going to be critical to the upside. If we continue to hold this neutral area, then we can possibly see a retest of that particular target. And if we get above that target, it's kind of open space up into the neutral destination at 5130s. And that's the overall trade idea destination for the bulls from even yesterday, right? So even from back here. As things have moved overnight, our line in the sand has adjusted a little bit as well. And we have some price confluence down here at our main line in the sand for the bulls. So overall, our main scenario one, is that we hold up above here and continue to move up. But like I said, this neutral area, once again, today is going to be critical for us. If we continue to hold up above there, then the bulls have a much better case to reach this overall destination. If we start to collapse and fall back into this area, then we could start seeing more rotational behavior. And then this line in the sand actually comes under some pressure as well from the bears. So then we could talk about scenario two, which scenario two would be a breakdown of that line in the sand heading down to this overall destination. This neutral reference down here would be kind of the end of the line for scenario two that I'd be looking for the session today. So not a strong bullish idea like we had yesterday. Yesterday we had a much more strong bullish case, even though we had that neutral zone that was a little bit of an issue for us. It's a very similar layout today because we really didn't go that far from our time frames, and we did adjust everything accordingly, but we're still kind of sitting in the same situation. So we're still generally bullish, but it's kind of like a choppy bullish up move, if that makes sense. And you can kind of see it here, right? Move up all the way almost back, move up. And now we're sitting in the spot here where Are we going to get a little bit more of a deeper pullback, or are we going to continue to see just a push up further? Well, that's why the neutral level here is going to be so critical for us. Because if we hold below that, then the pullback might be a little bit more steep. If we hold above it, then the bulls have a little bit more strength, let's say today. So as we're sitting right now, being up above it, that's a good sign. And we are basically looking at like a 60-40 type of bullish situation here. If we start clearing out these highs, seeing more and more bullish energy come into this market, this destination becomes a lot more likely and viable for us. If that does not manifest, in other words, we don't see bullish energy, we don't see that stuff, we kind of roll over, hold underneath this neutral reference, then we're looking at a situation that is a little bit more like yesterday. We might see deeper pullbacks into the line in the sand for the test and so forth that we have to pay attention to. So out here in this open space, willing to look at trading in a much more neutral perspective with a little bit of a bullish edge, 60-40. If we get back inside this neutral zone, it becomes more like 55-45 as we pull back into this, okay? So that is the overall layout of our DMI for today. Trade well, and if you trade at all, because like I said, today is one of those days where we have an idea of a general line in the sand. We have a general bias, but the strength really isn't there. So it's not a day that I would recommend, pressing a little bit more cleanly like we did yesterday with a much more clear read on narrative. So what's our big issues today? If you are somebody that follows the NADRO framework, our big issues are recency and the risk-reward landscape.